That was Donald Trump Jr. getting a little bit of a warm reception during his book tour with a book, ironically, of course, called Triggered. Awesome. Uh, so now he was with his girlfriend, Kimberly Guilfoyle, as well as Turning Point USA guy Charlie Kirk. I don't know if he's a founder or not. Um, Now, according to the LA Times, and as you just heard, there were some protesters in the crowd first. Now, they were shouting humanity first, and then, of course, came with America first, which I guess apparently there's those two happen to be mutually exclusive. I guess if you're following U.S. foreign policy, that would be correct. But again, you had a lot of protesters, right? And some of them, again, anti-Trump protesters. But you also have other people, as you're going to see, and this is according to The Guardian. The appearance backfired when his own supporters, diehard Make America Great Again conservatives, also raised their voices, most loudly in protest, and ended up drowning him out barely 20 minutes into an event scheduled to last about 2 hours. So you saw that. That's the end there. That's when Donald Trump Jr. basically had enough and said, "Okay, I'm done. I'm done. I'm going to walk out after 20 minutes." He is basically triggered by the crowd. Awesome. So now, at first, they note that Trump and Guilfoyle tried to ignore the discontentment, which originated when you had a fringe group of America Firsters who believe the Trump administration has been, quote, taken captive by a cabal of internationalists, free traders, and apologists for mass immigration. These are people who are even further to the extreme of President Trump and the rest of the Republican Party. Just let's take a minute to awe at that for a second, right? The insanity of people who think, oh, no, the Trump administration, not extreme enough. We need even more extreme. Wow. All right. Getting back to the event, right? So now I want to show you more video here. And this was Donald Trump Jr. basically trying to explain why he doesn't want to do a Q&A.
We're willing to listen. Q&A! We're willing to listen. See what I mean? And that is the problem. And the reason oftentimes it doesn't make sense to do the Q&A is not because we're not willing to talk about the questions, because we do. No. It's because people hijack it with nonsense looking to go for some sort of soundbite. You have people spreading nonsense, spreading hate to try to take over that room. That's the real issue in the room.
Because you're not making your parents proud by being rude and disruptive and discourteous. We are happy to answer a question. Respect the people around you so that they can hear. You don't play by the same rules. Let me tell you something. I bet you engage and go on online dating because you're impressing no one here to get a date in person.
Damn. All right. So I love that. We can't wait to answer questions, except for we're not going to answer questions because that's going to create sound bites for them leftists to make fun of. Well, I got news for you. We're already making fun of you. It doesn't matter what you say. Well, that's not true. If you actually said something smart and that makes sense, well, then we wouldn't make fun of you. But if you continue to do ridiculous things and say ridiculous things, like, for example, not being able to make millions of dollars as a sacrifice before Veterans Day, while going through Arlington, yeah, that's going to get us to make fun of you. But I love Guilfoyle at the end, taking a little shot. Because, again, these are college students, right? So she's taking a shot at those guys like, oh, you guys aren't being respectful enough. By the way, you're probably incels, which, look, judging by the audience, might be right. Oh, so good. Oh, it's so good. So now, I love the irony here, right? So you got Donald Jr. essentially being triggered while promoting a book with the same name. I love it. And again, That's their own audience. Now, here's the funny thing, right? So now this is done on a college campus, as Don Jr. points out. And so, oh man, we're almost never invited on college campuses. Well, okay, you're on a college campus. You're in a Turning Point USA event with Charlie Kirk, and you get booed by your own audience. And somehow, that's the leftists' fault. Again, somehow it's always our fault when a conservative gets booed by his own audience at his own event. I don't know, but that's the thing, though. It's a victimhood narrative, right? Again, he wouldn't be having this victimhood narrative if his book wasn't like literally named Triggered. But here's the thing: you have a subset of followers, the Trumps do, that are so deranged and think, "Oh no, he's not like Donald Trump Jr. You guys, you're not deranged enough. So we're going to boo you and we're going to shout for Q&A. And then we're going to literally chase you up to, well, not literally, but we're going to chase you up the stage." Hey, you know what? I thought you guys were open to answering questions. I thought you were interested in the marketplace, the open marketplace of ideas. What happened? What happened? Now, look, if you haven't figured it out by now, most of the conservative movement, especially pushed by Trump Jr. and Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk, is basically we're the victims, right? Oh, no, it's not the minorities that are victims. No, it's the white, Christian, conservative, often wealthy male. We're the real victims. Oh, is that it? Again, won't somebody please think of the rich people? Think of people like Donald Trump Jr. We're the victims here. Again, ironically pushing a book called Triggered, saying that, oh, no, we're triggering them. Ridiculous, right? But the whole triggered silent generation thing is basically a perverted version of reality, where people like Junior and Charlie Kirk, they don't want to actually lose some of their privilege. And that's the thing. It's all about wealthy white Christian privilege, which there is. And I know that somebody working in Pennsylvania who's busting his ass at 2 jobs and looks like me, is like, what privilege, right? What privilege do we have? It's not what we're not buying houses. No, we're in a rigged economy. The privilege that you have, and I know it's hard to hear, it's the same privilege that I have. Is basically the benefit of the doubt, and you could get in the whole sort of thing like how basically we've benefited off a racist system, and it's not as if we try to consciously perpetuate that system, but in a way we still benefit from it. And so that's a larger, deeper conversation. The kind of privilege that Don Jr. has, though, Don Jr. has the privilege of being born wealthy and benefiting from a rigged economic system. And so that's more the privilege that I'm talking about. But the privilege that, Charlie Kirk and all them enjoy is basically both of those at this point. But okay, anyway, now, aside from that privilege conversation, which I could go for a long time on that, let's get to some more fun. Let's get to some responses, actually. So now, let's go to social media. The Red Elephants fan account said, Turning Point USA announced that they canceled Q&A. Everyone booed. What are you afraid of, Charlie Kirk? I don't know, man. That's a good question. Is he afraid of having a good conversation? Having an open marketplace of ideas and then losing when your ideas are incredibly unpopular, which is basically giving all the money to the rich? Now, Brett McDonald says, Donald Trump Jr. says, we're willing to listen, as you saw in that video. Crowd chants Q&A. We're willing to listen, just not to Q&As. It's a nice little recap. Mr. Anti-Bully says, we want to ask questions, TPUSA. And as you saw, Kimberly Guilfoyle saying, have sex and sell. What could go wrong? Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.